There are some Nintendo games that have been basically impossible to play for about 30 years now. Well, at least legally. Unless, of course, you're willing to pay hundreds, and I do mean hundreds of pounds on a migraine-inducing, eyeball-destroying relic from 1995. You were completely out of luck playing those games. But in comes Nintendo with one hell of a left field announcement that means you can now play these games without spending hundreds. But you will have to spend something. But are there still migraines? Is the product even any good? What does it smell like? And are the games worth all of this bother? I'm going to answer some of those questions in this video. Well, here it is, the brand new Nintendo Switch 2 Virtual Boy Accessory. And its little brother, Carl. It's 1995 and Nintendo decide to jump in with their fourth piece of gaming hardware. Well, technically sixth, but let's not worry about that. That's right, the Virtual Boy predates the Nintendo 64 and even the Game Boy Pocket. Rumoured to be unfinished, the Virtual Boy was pushed into market so that Nintendo could pool their resources and focus on the 1996 release of the Nintendo 64. And who can blame them? So, already not really a great sign that they just thought, let's chuck it out now and abandon it completely like Jessie from Toy Story 2. And abandon it they did because it only received 22 games. Weirdly, 3 of the 22 were exclusive to North America and 8 of the 22 were exclusive to Japan, meaning that North America only got 14 games and Japan only got 19 games. Which to me makes absolutely zero sense. Why did North America get games that Japan didn't? And if you're wondering, what about Europe and the UK? It never officially released here. Skipped us completely. Until now. Jump forward, and here we are in 2026 with a sort of Virtual Boy release for the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm here to assess it, evaluate it, give you guys the lowdown. And why don't we just get on with that? Let's do that, shall we? So let's see what it's like. I'll give some commentary as I play. Holy heck. That is crazy. Now, I will say that I am getting some light leaking in around the edge, and particularly at the bottom, so maybe playing in a darker room would be better. But I'm also already getting pain in the back of my head, so that's not ideal. Let's check out Tetris. It's not exactly comfortable on my nose either. Now, I am terrible at Tetris, but we'll give this a go. I mean, the 3D effect is pretty sick. Okay, so you have to fill an entire floor. Right, so I just cleared a floor. I mean, I can't say I'm having the most exciting time. My neck is really starting to hurt, to be honest. Not super bad, but bad enough. How about if I bring the controller up here? Is that going to be any better for me? Nope, I think that's worse. To be honest, I actually think that's worse, which is genuinely an achievement. So I'm going to bring the controller back down. I mean, it looks pretty sick. In like a weird retro way. The blacks are really, really black. Almost like looking at an OLED. Almost. Okay, so there is one thing I want to check. The screen displays the games in red. All of the graphics are red. However, this actually has a piece that's removable that is a red screen filter. And I'm wondering why they felt the need to double up on that. If I just pull that piece out, you can see there, that's pretty red. So why have they felt the need to put a red filter on when the game is red anyway? So I'm going to remove that. and then carry on playing and see what it looks like now. Wow, that's actually changed quite a lot. So it feels like the screen is slightly further away, and that's adjusted the way I perceive the 3D effect. It's taken me a little minute to adjust. But the biggest change is a moment ago I said that the visuals were really great and that the screen didn't look too dissimilar from an OLED, which seems a big stretch. Now it looks like an LCD. That red filter really darkened the blacks and made the reds absolutely shine. It is without a doubt a much better experience with that red filter in, playing the Virtual Boy games themselves. The 3D effect is enhanced, the colours are enhanced, both the black levels and the luminosity of the red is so much better with that filter in. So this red filter definitely improves the experience. Makes it a little tighter around the nose, which does rub a little bit, but the visuals are far better with this in it. And that's interesting because this is not the only Virtual Boy that Nintendo have released. A cardboard, much smaller, compact, and far cheaper version. And the interesting thing is with this, is that it has no red filter. It's just the lenses themselves. So let's pop the Switch 2 out of there, get it into the cardboard version, and let's have a go of that. Shall we? And there it is, the Switch 2 in the device. You have to have the Joy-Cons on because there's no way of strapping this to your head, which seems a strange oversight. Why are Nintendo so against us strapping a VR headset to our heads? I don't get it. Do you know what? That is actually more comfortable on my neck. Straight away, that neck strain of having to position yourself is gone because I could sit back like this. You can get really comfortable with this one. I mean, I'm about as comfortable as you can with holding your hands in the air. Definitely no neck strain now. So let's come forward to the table and give them a little rest. It's strange because in some ways it's more comfortable and in other ways it really isn't. I mean, the fact that I can just do this and come away and then back is pretty good. You feel a little bit more locked into position with the full Virtual Boy headset. And of course, all the negatives about removing that red filter are present here. The colours aren't as vibrant, the black levels are nowhere near as deep. The 3D does feel a little less pronounced. So I can go back to game selection. Wow, okay, that's very strange. Okay, really strange. So going back to the main menu, it's actually in full colour, in complete and utter full colour. Where when I had the full Virtual Boy headset on, obviously it has that red filter on it, and it made it all look completely red. That is very strange seeing that all in colour now. Let's jump into something else. So we've played Tetris for a little bit. Let's go Galactic Pinball. Now there are slight gaps either side of my head with this version, with this cardboard headset. So light is coming in slightly from behind me and it is reflecting off the lenses. So let's have a look. We've got different stages. Alien, UFO, colony, cosmic. Let's have a go at cosmic, shall we? Yep, straight away got a bonus. Nice one. Wow, I'm bad at this. Oh, there we go. 20,000. Bonus chance. Don't know what that means. Bonus chance ran out. I didn't do anything with it, so that's a shame. Bonus chance again. Let's give it another go. I'm finding this much more comfortable to play with my elbows resting on the table. It's really not that bad. I mean, this is not a long game session sort of thing at all, let's face it. Okay, so there we have it. Little playtest of both the main Virtual Boy accessory here. I mean, it looks fantastic. I really cannot get enough of the way it looks. And as a display piece to go on a shelf, fantastic. Really great, but something to play with? Well, that might be a different story entirely. So, 3D Tetris and Galactic Pinball didn't blow me away, but this particular video is not about the games. However, if you do want to see some videos about the games themselves, then you should absolutely hit that subscribe button because I've got a lot in the pipeline and I'll talk more about that at the end of this video. So back to the Virtual Boy. My first play session with it didn't go as badly as I expected. I've already seen a lot of people criticising this thing
for the same reasons as in 1995. Migraines, headaches, and eyeball strain. But I've not experienced any of that at all. It was kind of fine. And I played it for roughly 60 minutes, almost non-stop really. And fine, genuinely. Especially once I realised that I'd actually set it up wrong and had been using it completely incorrectly. Okay. The biggest issue that I have here is I feel like I want to look down into it, and you can rotate it down like that, sure, but not the other way. That's as far as it goes, and then you tighten it in there. Can I install it backwards? Maybe I've actually been playing it wrong. Have I been doing it wrong? Okay, so you can have it like that. Right. This might change things. This might really change things. I can't stress this enough how much better this is. And clearly, I set it up wrong, which is my bad. So now that I'm more comfortable, let's jump into a little bit of Wario Land, which is, let's face it, it's the game to play on this, really, isn't it? What a great visual that is. I mean, it's all in red, but it's such a storybook looking scene, like almost like crafted from paper. You have to wonder if this is where Paper Mario started, the Virtual Boy, with the way it's layered. So yeah, always read the instructions, I guess. Although, there is a lot of imagery online showing the Virtual Boy set up incorrectly, the way I originally had it. Particularly imagery of the original system. But all official imagery of the Switch 2 version, this latest release, do show it set up correctly with those little rubber feet facing forward. Although, imagery of people using it still don't angle the headset down for more comfort, so... In the video, it may not have seemed like a big difference, but it really was a massive difference just being able to angle my head downwards like that. It felt more similar to just playing a handheld, looking down at that. In fact, the Virtual Boy may have taken some of the weight of my massive head off my neck, so... Wario Land is really one of those games that is the perfect example of why you have to experience stereoscopic 3D and virtual reality for yourself. The opening cutscene that I absolutely rained praise upon, even comparing it to Paper Mario, genuinely, 2D does not do it justice at all. In 2D, it looks a mess, but inside the Virtual Boy, it was genuinely really, really great to look at, like a papercraft diorama. Brilliant. And it's so unfortunate that I can't show that to you. The sprite detail is insanely high. I mean, this looks great. Again, it is all red, but you're underground in a cave-like system? Kind of works. Don't get me wrong, the pinball and the Tetris, it was like some sort of 80s movie knockoff idea of what video games would look like in the future. But this kind of leans into the stylization of it. The sprite for Wario is actually layered, so his hands look like they're in front and behind his body. He has so much more depth to him than other characters at this time. This is just before the N64, so really, Nintendo were just working with the Super Nintendo. The pixel count on the sprites are so much higher than anything that I've experienced on the SNES. This is kind of completely playable. Like, I could probably sit here for a bit and play this. And I will say, even with the now improved angle that I've got, my neck is starting to just strain a little bit. Kind of getting into this. Oh, that looks very nice. Wow, so I've just entered a secret room, and there's like this big mural on the back wall, and it looks so 3D, like polygonal 3D. And there's this box with great sprite work and decoration on it, and a lucky cat that's a collectible. I don't know what that's for. Wow, this room looks so cool. Such a unique visual style, particularly with Wario Land. I'm really starting to enjoy the red colour. Am I? I mean, there's actually so much detail in it. Everything's red, but there's just so much detail. I certainly can't help but like the way it looks. One thing that the Virtual Boy has been noted for is giving people headaches. And so far, I'm really not feeling a headache. And I don't. And that's probably a good place to stop. So, coming out of it is a very strange experience, but not headache-inducing. Playing it like that was reasonably comfortable. It's a shame that somewhere between these two devices there is something that is pretty comfortable. This has more comfort for different reasons than this has comfort for different reasons. Wario Land is definitely a game I would like to get to play more of and will play more of. Pinball, 3D Tetris, well, I don't know how much they're going to get played. I can't stress enough how this Nintendo developed game really showed off what the hardware can actually do. Wario Land, I think, genuinely looked really impressive. To think that this was 1995, that's genuinely insane to me. However, whilst my correction of the stand did greatly improve my comfort level, it's still not the most comfortable thing to use. So it's a real shame, to put it mildly, that Nintendo have locked these games behind these two accessories. And I can't understand why they just haven't allowed players to enjoy these titles just on the Switch or Switch 2 screen as 2D games, without stereoscopic 3D. Sure, the full effect wouldn't be available and some elements would not look nearly as good as intended, but they'd still be perfectly playable. And I know this for absolute damn sure, because the Switch 2 is not the best way to play these games. Not at all. Made by fans, but is a much greater experience. You're able to do it in 3D or not. And it's with one of these, a Nintendo 3DS. If you mod it, which Nintendo are very much not going to be happy about, there is an app available to install called Red Viper. And that allows you to emulate Virtual Boy games in full stereoscopic 3D in complete comfort of the 3DS. And this is the best way to play them. And I can of course turn on the stereoscopic 3D. Obviously on camera you won't be able to see that, but as you can see with the artifacting, it is displaying a stereoscopic 3D image. And for me, this looks really fantastic, and I can do this anywhere, in any way, in any level of comfort I choose, as opposed to the Switch 2 Virtual Boy, where I'm locked into the comfort levels of 1995. But Nintendo have promised updates to the Virtual Boy, including being able to change the colour of the Virtual Boy graphics. But again, Red Viper have gotten beat to the punch, because there's an entire colour spectrum to choose from, with some handy neutral grey and classic red buttons. So it is absolutely doable to have these games play in 2D and it be a perfectly fine experience. So I can't understand why Nintendo have chosen to lock the games behind these accessories, apart from selling these chunks of plastic and cardboard to idiots like myself. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo do a little update to offer that further down the line once they've sold enough of those Virtual Boy accessories. And there is a reason why I think this. So going back to the main menu, it's actually in full colour, in complete and utter full colour. The whole thing is in red, all red, completely red, apart from that Virtual Boy main menu. It's in full colour, and I can't possibly understand why they do that unless they intended to display it on a regular screen at some point. Maybe that's a stretch of logic, I guess, but come on. Surely, once they've sold enough of these plastic shells and cardboard shells, they'll offer these games as 2D experiences, right? Either way, I am glad that there's now a legal way to play some of these games. It'd be great if we eventually got all 22 titles, but I think there may be licensing issues with games like SD Gundam for example. But we do have plenty more games already announced to be coming this year to the Virtual Boy app, including Mario Tennis and Mario Clash. So that's my experience with the Virtual Boy accessories for the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. Would I recommend them? Well, yes, but only if you're a very specific sort of idiot like me. A Nintendo diehard that just has to have it. These aren't mass appeal items, and it's why I think that Nintendo will eventually offer these games to be playable in 2D in the standard way the rest of the classic catalogue works. But before you go, this video was the first video in my first ever YouTube series. Let me tell you more. You see, I adore the classic catalogue. It's some of the best game preservation we've seen from a large-scale studio. These are the original titles, not remasters, not remakes, the original games preserved for people to play. That is, as long as Nintendo don't shut the service down and keep supporting it. And so I'm setting out on a sort of quest, if you like. And that quest is to play every single classic catalogue game. NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, Mega Drive, Game Boy Advance, Virtual Boy, and any other console they decide to add to the classic catalogue. Absolutely all of them. And I will be reviewing and making videos about all of them, and hopefully I'll find some hidden gems along the way. But even further than this, there are some game series that I've never really played, maybe dabbled in, but not fully immersed myself in. Franchises like Metroid, Kirby, Breath of Fire, and even more YouTube video series will be spinning out of this one to play those franchises in their entirety that I've never played before. And this is going to take a very, very long time. But I am fully committed to doing this, and that's my elevator pitch for you hitting that subscribe button, because I can't wait to go on this journey and play all of these games. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Virtual Boy, more Nintendo Switch 2, and much more classic catalogue, then hit that subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next one.